Wolfram Alpha is a new kind of software application that runs on the web. It's not a search engine, it's a computational knowledge engine. What does that mean? Well, imagine if you could put a lot of the knowledge in the world that's been recorded, things like facts, measurements, equations, history, trends, and calculations, and put them in a big box. Wolfram Alpha lets you use plain English and numbers to write questions, known as queries, about anything and everything that's in that box. Wolfram Alpha is smart enough to understand what you're trying to figure out, and it provides answers in the form of data that's relevant to your query. When you type a query, such as this one, which asks for the nutritional content of your breakfast, Wolfram Alpha looks around in that big box of knowledge and presents you with all the facts and data related to your query. As long as the knowledge is in the box, Wolfram Alpha can tell you something about it. That's pretty cool, but here's where things get even more interesting. Wolfram Alpha can combine your queries to create completely new data that's never been seen before. For example, you can combine the query Michael Jackson's birthday with weather to see what the weather was like in your area the day the King of Pop was born. That's a quick look at Wolfram Alpha. But you might be wondering, how is Wolfram Alpha different from Google? Well, Google searches the web, seeking out web pages that are highly relevant to your search. From there, it's your job to find information and data on the pages Google lists for you. Wolfram Alpha is different. It doesn't search for web pages. Instead, it searches and makes calculations based on what's inside its big box of knowledge. You can then display those results in new and creative ways.
So people ask, we're a company that's gone 23 years old making math software, and people ask, how the hell did we get into making a knowledge engine? Well, I'll show you there's actually a lot of math in doing this kind of thing, and if I go here to the Wolfram toolbar, I'll show you some simple examples. Hopefully these work as well. So I could do, let's say, Microsoft versus...
No sound.
I could do Microsoft versus Google, and hopefully we go off and we get some comparison between Microsoft and Google, and we see some parameters that it's picked out and formatted direct, and see some comparison between those. So that's a typical thing you might do. You might also do something a bit more linguistic. You might ask, for example, for breakfast, I think I had an egg, let's say, plus bacon, etc. And if I enter that, we can see how much running around I have to do today to burn off what I ate this morning. So again, this is a live computation, and you see, a little bit like the contextualization that Ben was showing, we have a way of choosing different kinds of egg, whether it's an omelette or a poached egg or a scrambled egg, disambiguating the different kinds of things you might want. Well, another thing you might do is ask some question like, what was the weather, let's say,
in Berlin when Angela Merkel was born or something?
Munich, when Merkel was born, if I can spell this correctly, or even not.
Perfect.
Let's see what we get. Let's see if we can figure that out.
Wow.
And she was born and it was apparently overcast, cloudy, few clouds. Actually, I have to say, when I do this in the UK with Gordon Brown, and it comes out as drizzly and miserable, that works even better.
Talk about the future of search. So we were talking yesterday at the Chairman's Dinner already about, are there new metaphors for searching? Could we end up having a little device like that one? I carry it around, the device knows where I am, it records the sound, it knows after a year everything about my private life. And would it be possible that that's kind of recommendation engine, a real decision engine at the end, firing all the information it gets out of my life?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, I think that we've been, in a way, in a bit of a rut about the way search is conceived for the past 10 years. And I really don't mean this as disrespect to Google at all. I mean, I think Google made a tremendous pioneering step in the way information gets accessed this way. But what's happening now is that more and more we're accessing it from devices like this one, from small devices that are with you all the time. They're on and connected all the time. They have all of these sensors besides just in fact, the ability to type stuff in is in a way the weakest element of the phone. You have voice, you have imagery, you have movies that you can take, you have location, compass, and of course you're doing all sorts of other things on your phone as well. And when you think about all of the many implicit signals that all of that gives you about what you might be searching for, or what you might want, or what answers you might want, it's a huge amount of information. It's far greater in a way than the information that I just type into the box. So yeah, I mean, I think that models for implicit search and for augmented reality are going to play an enormous role in the next few years of the evolution.
Where are the first signs on being, using different signals? For example, when I was in the Alps skiing, as I mentioned before, immediately the right map showed up where when I went to into the internet in this little hut there. So I was really astonished to see that. I don't think Google is doing that in Germany. So what other signals, like location of the ISP, what other signals do you use already?
Well, so if you were in the Alps and it was après-ski, right, and you typed in chocolate, right, in the Alps, then of course if you type in chocolate into either Bing.com or Google.com right now, you'll get some suggestions and you'll get some answers about the Wikipedia page on chocolate and how it's smelted and all kinds of nonsense like this. If you type it in that situation, you want to know where nearby can I get hot chocolate that is open now, and ultimately where is the line shortest, and what are the prices of hot chocolate in different places and so on. How far away and how do I walk there? Those are the answers that you want right now, here and now.
Yeah, so I think the thing that I saw that was really different recently, I just got an Android phone, and I have a speech recognition system in my car that's a couple of years old, and I've got a mongrel accent, it's somewhat American, somewhat Indian, so I don't know what it is. And when I say, telephone in my car, it just does something completely random, right? It'll say, give me, directions to some random place. And so I just completely gave up on it. And then I got this phone, I was in the car, and when you're driving, you can't type into the thing, and I needed to do a search for some business. And it worked. And I was really kind of astonished. And so one of the things that I think that's changing this whole is ability to interact with these devices in ways that we didn't conceive of before, in places we didn't conceive of before. And I think the speech recognition part of it is going to be important in both the car as well as, in other locations where you can't have easy access to your hands. And then you can imagine, speech synthesis for producing the answers. So when you're working out and you're thinking about something, you wonder about something. There's no easy way to do that today because you're...
Let me add one thing. I'm going to come in from a slightly different angle. So one of the things we're very interested in is having answers that come back as applications. So we can build interactively in applications that you can actually interact with. So when you ask a query, you may not just get a dead document or a graph, but something that's been built especially for you with sliders or pull downs or whatever that can actually change as with what you want to do. So in a sense, we're sending back a whole application space in the future, as opposed to just sort of the style of graphics and other things that we're used to. So I think this sort of interface that isn't text, obviously maps is a great example of where that's already gone, is an important sort of direction. And I suppose what I think about in this is improving the bandwidth of communication between, if you like, the author, which might be the computer, and the reader, in quotes, who you really don't want to be a reader in a dead sense. You want to be somebody who really interacts with the information. And I think as we're using things on smaller screens, it becomes even more important to be able to interact in this much richer way with the information you get back.